know.
Hey guys, it's Mongolian Mindset, and today we got one of our legendary members. He's been around for a while. We got Jess Manzel.
I like
Manzel.
legendary.
He's a legendary member at this point. He's one of the wise people in the group. So we're gonna see if everything checks out. Maybe some magical genie has existed and changed his personality. I highly doubt it, but we'll see.
We'll see.
All right, Jesse. So how's everything for you, man? How's life?
Good. So actually, before, because this is going on the channel, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So before I get started, I just wanted to do a quick shout out. I wanted to shout out to my mom, my brother, my girlfriend. I love you guys. You guys are awesome. And the Mongolian Discord too. There's some cool people in there. They know who they are. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, life's good.
Yeah. So, what are you doing now? I remember when we first met, you didn't have a girlfriend. You just went through a relationship. So,
Yeah.
what
I
happened?
was. Yeah. No, I'm in a relationship again.
How's that going? Good.
Oh, amazing.
And you still work in the same place, or you have you switched
Yep.
up? Or, yeah.
Healthcare for USPS.
Yeah. So how do you like that?
I honestly, I love it.
And what aspects of the job do you love?
Um, Probably the two things are working outside
Mm-hmm.
and the physical aspect. So like
Physical aspect.
I can't be indoors. Like I had a job before this one
Mm-hmm.
where I was just sitting in front of a computer all day, every day, like indoors, and I couldn't do it. So when I switched jobs, I knew I had to do something that was just completely different from that. And um, working outside, driving around and walking around checks that box. So and it worked out really well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't like being out in the heat, man. It kind of exhausts me. Like that's a quick way for me to get exhausted. It's like being out in the heat. That's why I don't go to the beach. Like I don't go to any beaches or anything like that. Just being out in the heat just like zaps my energy. I don't know what it does. And I
Interesting.
get in the irritable mood immediately with the sun. I don't know what it is. Um,
Yeah, I'm the opposite of that. The heat is like it's like super powered for me.
it's crazy.
Like it juices me up. I go for like longer runs,
That's
all
crazy.
that.
I swear to God, I'm like a fucking vampire. I really am like a fucking vampire at this point. Like I do not like the sun. I do like people like I remember one of my friends begged me to go to the beach with her for like an entire year. And I went to the beach one time and then it was just like I was just so miserable. I had like the big ass thing over me too to block me from the sun.
Yeah.
And everybody else like, what the fuck's wrong with this guy? Like, man, get the fuck out of here. But Jesse, what do you like about typology, man?
Um, I like the way that it's like when you talk about functions, right?
Mm-hmm.
I like how the functions are kind of like shorthand in a way
Mm-hmm.
for like a cluster of either behaviors or like perspectives. And so if people can agree or are like using the same general idea of what the functions are.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's some inconsistency there. I think it's just like a an effective way to talk about the mind and people.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
like I can say like an I to you, and like you have a general idea of what I mean instead of having to go on and on about specific aspects of like a thinking pattern.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think about socionics?
It's a Russian propaganda, Russian conspiracy.
I always find it odd that there's like people who like socionics, and it's like you do know that's like Russian, you do know it's Russian. Like,
Got it. You have to pick a side.
I mean, I mean, I mean, everything has to be translated a certain way. They're not even sure if they got the translations right. Then they seen just some website. I'm like, where is the books? Where are the books? Then they didn't. They said, "Oh, we didn't got no books." Like what? Huh? Oh, they ain't been translated. What? That sound like something that anyone can get in and just manipulate and change it around to benefit what they want. Really. Like if you wanted to be a nasty person, you probably could do that. Um, but
Yeah, probably the roughest part, like when you start looking things up, is that like a lot of the text is like poorly translated.
hmm
It's hard to make sense of that.
and then it's like you don't even know what you're missing or what you're not, what you're getting and what you're missing. I just don't. I mean, some people like it. I think like the people try to use socionics to sound smarter than they are. That's my take on it. It's like, they think it's like some like hidden type thing. Like, oh my god, like I'm a socionics guy. It's like, yo, uh, get out of here, man. They can't
Yeah,
type people right to save their life. Like they have no proven system that isn't reliable or methods. They just listen to somebody and they're trying to pin an archetype on somebody. Which I mean, like you can't like that's not gonna apply for everybody, especially as we've seen. Definitely, and the more that type develops, the more subtypes you get, and in the
yeah,
future, there's going to be even more of them. Like it for newsflash to people, like it don't end anytime soon. It's going to be as there's four now, there'll probably be eight in the future. Then there'll probably be 16. And the reason why people don't realize it, but when MBTI started out, they couldn't say there's 600 types of some person. It never would sell, so they had to make 16. That's why I think Enneagram does a little bit better job than them because there's only nine.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Um, so Justin, what are you into now, man?
Oh, I'm into chess,
Yeah.
studying languages, like exercise, fitness, reading, writing, meditation. That's usually on my free time. Like it's like a checklist. Like I try to knock out a little bit of time and like in each of those things.
hmm So let's take it one step at a time. So chess, what's going on there?
So it's been like a year, I think, that I've like gotten into it.
hmm
It's just I enjoy it. It's fun. I do puzzles. I'm like kind of addicted to the puzzles.
You like the puzzles.
Yeah. And then I always have like an ongoing game. So because you could do like a 24-hour
Mm-hmm.
move.
hmm
So I always have at least one going. And like I always commit to doing like three puzzles in the morning because it like gives you the streak, like
hmm
the .com, right? You get the puzzle streak, and then there's the daily puzzle, and then if there's a move, like if it's my turn, I'll make a move, and then throughout the day, as like I have time, I'll like do the moves like back and forth.
hmm Yeah. I just
And
what have you learned from it? Like what aspects of chess have you think have like changed your life a little bit or things?
probably using memory
hmm
because I mean it's a complex game, so there's a lot to learn and a lot to remember, but as you're like playing more, you become a little more familiar with the moves you've made before and the things your opponent's doing. And I think just using that has been helpful.
hmm Yeah. Yeah. For me, I've noticed that like I take more of the chess mindset on everything that I do. So it's like instead of like maybe 5 years ago, I did play chess 5 years ago, but I wasn't like playing like as many games. But you start thinking about like 3 steps, 4 steps ahead of on everything. Like if it's like in life, like okay, what's 3 steps ahead right here? Like instead of just thinking about like your next move or the next move behind that, you're thinking about three, four, five moves. It does help with the memory because you're like, damn, I've been caught in this situation before. What did I do last time?
Yeah.
You don't want to. You can like fuck up bad. Um.
Yeah, I really like the explore, like when you're like you make a move and you can click on explore and then you can like I do that a lot. Like I'll make a move and then I'll like flip the board and then make the opponent's move and then I'll make a move and then and like starting out, that's really helpful for me because I need to see it. So like I don't think I'm at the point where I can like visualize the board and visualize like their moves ahead of
Mhm.
time more than like two or three. So um yeah, I just love the explore feature that kind of lets me make their moves as I think they'll make them and then, go from there.
Yeah, I think the worst thing about chess, like, because we're not really in the high level, it's like you can't really predict what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
So it's like if you're playing a good chess player, they gonna take the best move, but these people just move PC and you're like, what the fuck? And it kind of throws you off a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's so what about meditation? What have you learned from that?
Oh, I think it was a good practice for me to start because it's like learning how to stop, like kind of acknowledging that doing nothing in that context is doing something.
Hmm.
Especially with work, it's just like constant movement, which I love. I mean, that's part of the reason I love the job. It's constant movement. It's like there's a bit of a thrill to it because you're like running on the clock. You got to be back by a certain time. There's just a lot to like move around, and then I get off of work, and then I like want to do a bunch of other things. But being able to learn to just stop, sit still, and just accept things,
Hmm.
it's just a good balance. It's like balanced me out in that way.
Mm. What do you recommend for somebody who wants to start meditation? Any books, anything?
Um, I've listened to a couple books by Alan Watts. I think he's one of the bigger known names in meditation, and I think specifically Zen. Um, I'm not going to pretend I know all that much, but that's kind of the way I'm approaching it, like more along those lines. And I figure he's a good resource, anyways, because he is like a pretty influential name in that. Other than that, I would just honestly recommend people do a quick search. Like the information's out there. Like, I don't think you need to necessarily listen to like a full book because a lot of it might get into the spiritual aspect, right? And I think maybe a deep study of the spirituality surrounding meditation should probably merit that. But if it's something you just want to try out, you can go online. I mean, obviously find some good sources, right? But like see how people are actually doing it. Like, and that's what was helpful to me. Like, how do people sit? Like when I start doing something, I'm like, how do people sit? How do they do this? How do they do that? Like, where are they? And so I just like did a quick search, read some articles on, the way that people approached it, and then I just did it. And then after I started maybe educating myself on how maybe to understand it from a deeper place. But ultimately, I think you can read as much as you want about anything, but if you physically don't make yourself do it, then it's like worthless. It's meaningless.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I totally agree with you there. Like you gotta get skin in the game. That's when the real learning comes, is the skin in the game. Like,
Yeah.
so you were also talking about running, your physical fitness.
Yeah.
How do you stay consistent with that, man? I see you on Instagram all the time, very consistent. So how do you stay consistent with that?
Rage, anger.
Rage, anger.
No, it's a mix of things. I mean, running has always been part of my life, like because I did track and field in high school.
Hmm.
Um, and so it's just something that at this point it's just automatic. Like I don't even have to try. Like I don't know if that makes sense, but like running is just like getting up to like do a simple task because I've just been doing it for so long
Hmm.
that it's just part of like what I do and like who I am,
Hmm.
to be honest. Like that's just and there's definitely some fuel sometimes as far as like um working out the stress, the tension,
Hmm.
like shit happening at work, all that. Because I usually run after work, so it's just a good way to get the shit that builds up out of my body.
Mm, yeah. 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 I just be cussing at work sometimes. I'd be like, fuck, goddamn stupid motherfuckers. Like it just oh God, man. I get it out immediately. I don't like let it build up. I just like, God damn these stupid motherfuckers. Like it's usually like something someone did that's stupid that gets me like kind of riled up. I don't know why. Like they like
No,
I have a coworker and she makes the same mistakes every day. Like I'm talking about like you set your watch to it. Same mistake every day. I'm like, God damn it, motherfucker, what are you doing? And it's the
I
same
get it.
shit every day.
I mean, legitimately, that's me at work too. I'm like, people have learned not to come to me with like little bullshit because like people have this the post office culture or the post office culture is interesting. Not trying to like throw shade at my coworkers or anything, but it's like people have this anxiety about like being heard and like making a fuss. Like
Hmm.
that's not me. Like if I have an issue with somebody, like everybody's gonna know because I'm gonna make a point of it. That's like manager, whoever. I don't care. Like you're gonna come up to me, and if I think you're wasting my time, if I think what you're saying doesn't make sense, if I think you're being rude, I'm be like, whoa, 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 like what's going on?
Yeah. That's what we wanted to hear, Jesse. The real Jesse that came out. The mask that slipped off and broke. Oh man. What's your normal week look like, man?
Normal week, um, it's pretty structured. So work 5 to 6 days. Usually like 8 to 10. For a while, it was like 10 to 12 hours. So I finally got out of that. But then based around that, I kind of just run through the routine, the stuff we talked about,
Hmm.
chess, languages, running, meditation. I kind of just fit that all around work. Then I listen to books like pretty nonstop.
Hmm. Damn.
So it's just like it's momentum. Like I have that momentum, so I just keep it going. Um, and that's kind of what's been really good recently. What's felt great is that I feel like I've reached a point now where every day is like building on the previous day.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Build on the previous day. Okay. Progression. Okay. Um, what skill do you think separates you from other people?
I guess it depends on how you frame it, but I feel like I just have good awareness, like good like central awareness and like sense of like where I am, what I'm doing. Like cuz even just factoring in like drinking or like feeling really tired or like not sleeping well, like it doesn't matter how altered my physical state or like mental state is, I always feel like there's this part that's just like on and aware and like it's a good skill and it's super helpful, but sometimes it's also a curse, I'll say, because
Hmm.
it's like it feels like there's no like I can't turn it off. There's a part of my mind that just never shuts off.
Mm.
And I think that's really effective in a lot of situations, but it also can just be like existentially like stressful.
Yeah, yeah. What do you think has been like some of your greatest challenges?
Greatest challenges. I guess we can talk about it, different scales. So like in one scale last year, I went on a a really long hike. It was like a 32-mile hike. Uh, yeah, and
That would have been me.
I was kind of I thought I prepared decently, but I ended up being a little unprepared, and so
32 miles.
it was like eight. Let's say it was like 8 p.m. and I didn't have a headlamp. Like this is dumb. Like this is straight up dumb, obviously. I didn't have a headlamp. I thought I was going to be done in like 10 hours and it ended up taking me like 13, 14 hours and it's like pitch black. Like I literally like walked and jogged and ran in like total darkness in the
So you
forest.
ran. So this wasn't a hike. This was like
It was like yeah, it was a mix. So it was like partially walking, partially running, like jogging, like a mix of things and
'cause I was about to
once the
say 30 something miles in 10 hours. I was like, I don't know about that, boss. Like, you got to be
walking
moving.
because it's the walking pace. Like they say that the average walking pace is 3 miles an hour, right?
That's a little, it's just a little spuffy,
Well, the thing that they don't tell you when you're walking after like maybe 12 miles is that like every old pain and like injury that you've had, it all comes back.
Hmm.
And so like I started feeling every like sprain and like just everything that I'd felt before, and I was like, yeah, this might take me a little longer. But it was it was just kind of being in that situation where it's like it was like do or die in a way because I could have taken a wrong turn, could have gotten lost,
Yeah.
but I made it out, and ultimately, I like that. It's a challenge. I kind of do some crazy shit like that where I'll push myself just to see if I can do it. So like running too, like that. Obviously, that was part of that experience because like if things are off, it's almost like an experiment. Like if I haven't slept that well, I know I should rest, but part of me is like, oh, I want to see how I'm gonna do on this run. I'm gonna push it because if I can do it like this, so like in a suboptimal state, then when I recover and when I'm at like 100%, it's gonna be like the performance is just gonna be out of this world for me at least. I'm
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, I love that too. Like the harder, like sometimes like when my schedule's like super busy or something, then I just feel like I'm at peace with the world and I'm like in a zen state to where it's just like I just get
Yeah.
it done, and then like let's say if I have nothing to do, then I feel like my body just goes into this off mode. But like when I have like that's why I like to jam pack my schedule like all the time because then I'm just like and then just getting shit done. And then I feel good about it because I'm just like getting shit done and just like productivity is crazy. So I understand what you're saying with that. Like,
And
that's
then
a
like
bit about challenge there.
and on a bigger scale, probably I think it was a few years ago when I just had that big transition in my life. Like I'd been living my life, like sharing my life with a person for a
Hmm.
while. So you just have patterns that develop over time, and like there's so much that you're not aware of where you're like there's like interconnected dependencies, right? Like you watch out for each other in ways that you're even not aware of, and kind of transitioning out of that and like just being out on my own was like not I don't want to call it a reality check because I've never been in a situation where it's like, oh, I'm gonna fail miserably and like not have a home or whatever. But it was just a lot. Like it was like a major transition for me where it was like, okay, like this is it, like you're doing the thing and there's all this you're gonna have to take care of for yourself and by yourself, set
Hmm.
yourself up. Um, which was good. It was a good experience just because I have a tendency to like really value self-reliance, like and being independent, despite the fact that like if I'm real, like I've had a lot of support um since I was a kid.
Hmm.
And so part of that was just proving it to myself,
Hmm.
right? But it's also like being able to live out what I, believe is important to me.
Yeah, I feel. I mean, I have something kind of similar to that. It's kind of like I kind of forget my past experiences a lot of times. So then, like sometimes my confidence will wane in a certain thing, and it's like shit. I gotta kind of get it going again. So like my confidence is kind of like shot or something. It'll be like, maybe if I haven't did it in forever or tried it, I'm like, oh shit, like this shit probably gonna fail or like I'm gonna suck at it. And I gotta get like a small victory or something first. Like I gotta get like a small fucking victory. And then once I get like a small victory, I can like my like how I feel about myself starts to change. And once I start like it starts to change, then I become like a different person. But like I
Yeah.
got like at first, like I always tell people, you see me in my very analytical mode, that means I'm scared, right? If you
Uh,
see me like in a very like confident and cocky mode, that means like everything's been assessed. I'm at literally my best. Because naturally I'll just retreat into that very analytical mode to like analyze everything. But like once I've analyzed everything and I feel comfortable and like everything, then it's like the real me just comes out. Like the real
yeah.
like tyrant comes out. Um, I call it the tyrant. um, but yeah, man, that's pretty cool. What do you think makes you happy, Jesse?
What makes me happy?
Shit, I probably.
Feeling like I'm growing and improving. Like we talked about all the things I like to do, but for me, it's almost like those are separate things, but I don't even see them as different things because for me, it's all contributing to my like mental and physical and like emotional and spiritual development. Like for
Mhm.
me, it's all about self mastery, right? So like if the things I'm doing are productive and promote development in some kind of way, like I'm like that's what I want. Like that's absolutely like like if I can do that, I'm happy.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, hmm.
What's advice you'd give yourself as a kid?
What's that again?
Advice you'd give yourself as a kid?
Um, as a kid, I'd tell myself to join a sport earlier, like
Why?
try out for baseball or something.
Why?
Because I think I would have been really fucking good. I, I didn't have that encourage like I didn't that
Yeah.
wasn't a resource I had. I didn't have like the encouragement or like somebody that knew about like kids trying out for things. So,
Mhm.
like I think I would have. I think I have really good hand-eye coordination. And
I've shit.
um yeah, like I think that would have been good for me all around and not just because I think I would have been good at it, but I think it just would have been good to be in that kind of environment earlier.
That's what my brother's regret is. Because we grew up without a father, so like it was kind of like you figure out as you go, right? Um, and as a kid, you on left, you making this adult decisions when you shouldn't be making one. So like my brother, he probably could have been an NFL player if he had like actually did the stuff that he was supposed to. And then later in life, he tried, but then like his eligibility had like ran out. Then you have to do all
Mm,
these like backwards turns and what's called to try to like make a team or something. And like he ended up making like this like arena team, and they end up like but they don't really pay you or do anything really good for you. But in his head, it was like an opportunity to somehow try to make it to the NFL. End up banging up his shoulder, and that was it. But
mm,
it sucks. Like if you have the skills to play it in sports, and you don't get the opportunity to do that, it kind of hurts, man. It kind of hurts. Like you vicariously living through people on TV. It hurts. That's why I like watching like basketball. Like vicariously, I'm living through them. I see like Luca hit a three, and I'm like, man, I wish I could have done that. Like, I wish I would have been on a path where I could have did something similar, or I would have practiced enough. But that wasn't in the cards for me. But that's life, you know.
yeah.
So would you like baseball, basketball? Would you like?
Um, Wait, what do you mean?
Which sport do you think would have been your best if you were
Oh,
to
I,
pick?
I probably would have, if not baseball, I think just given the way that I approach things, baseball or tennis.
Oh,
Like
tennis.
recreationally, like like during recess and all that stuff. I played a lot of basketball.
Oh
Like
yeah.
I loved it, but realistically,
Mhm.
I like have a limit for basketball. But I think things that are more solitary and require like dexterity and hand-eye
Mhm.
coordination, I think it would have been pretty decent.
Yeah. Yo, I gotta ask you a question, man. When you started playing basketball, was it easy for you to dribble?
Yeah,
Really? Man, I'm
yeah,
fucking pissed. My brother,
yeah.
I never watched. I swear to God, I never saw that bitch fucking dribble ever. And he's doing all this crazy shit. And I try to do it. I'm like, what's going on here? Like, why do I suck? Like, what's going on? I never saw him dribble. And he was able to just like do crazy stuff. And I'm like, wait, why can't I do this? And I'd be like practicing in the like back. It just never worked for me. Uh, that's kind of funny, man, to hear like someone with your type like talk about like being naturally gifted at sports, which I think is
I never like I didn't do anything fancy, but as far as like the basic act of dribbling, yeah. It was
yeah.
never a thing where I like, oh, I can't do this.
Nah, I was like, bro, why am I losing the ball? Like this ball's going. It still does. Like I have to like kind of focus. I have to like really, really focus. What about skateboard? Skateboard pretty easy for you?
I never tried.
Never tried.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got on. My brother's good at it. I got on there and I was like, man, this shit ain't for me.
I tried roller skating a couple years ago.
Yeah.
That was rough. That wasn't fun.
Yeah, roller skates. I tried that when I was a kid. Wasn't for me. Man, I pretty much sucked at every fucking thing. When I was a kid, I sucked like there was nothing I didn't suck at, dude. It was a sad existence.
Mm,
That's why I buried myself into books. That's
mm,
why I really think I think naturally like I wish my life was so good that like I didn't have to be systematic and shit. But I think like my life in the situation that I had, I just had to be systematic because it's just like you just suck at everything. Like the only way you could be good at something is only by studying the system behind something.
mm.
Like as in like Christian, he's a SP. All that shit comes natural to him, so he doesn't have to worry about a system behind it because he's so good. Like he's so good at improvising. Um, but
Was
you're
it like for you for reading, was there like something that motivated you to read other than feeling like that was like a good way for you to like learn or
well, for me as a kid, I just always wanted to be the smartest, right?
gotcha.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I always wanted to be the smartest, so that motivated me to read and stuff like that. Also, I sucked at sports. Like, if I suck at sports, that means you gotta double down on other shit. Like it's like I got kind of like booted out of sports. Like I was the last person picked. Like even though I was like crazy athletic, like I could run faster than everybody and jump, but like when it came to like putting things with like coordination and all that, it just did not flow well. So I was always the last person picked. So to me, it was like, oh, we gotta abort this plan. Like this is not the future for you.
Yeah, we had this thing. I asked because we had this thing for a while called I think accelerated reader,
Mm-hmm.
where like you would like do an assessment and then it would give you like
AR
a
points.
a grade level for reading, and then you like read a book, you take a test, and then you get the points. I was obsessed. Like I I think it was like the years we had it, like sixth, seventh, eighth. I was like top points. Like that was such a big motivator for me to read.
I
Like I would
haven't.
just check books, read because I was gonna be at the top. Like I needed to win the point contest.
Yeah, yeah. They had it for us too. The accelerated reader. So you read a book and then you type and you take a quiz on that book, and then you get
Yeah,
points to show that you read the book. And like I would take like the biggest books with the most points. So you take the big books. Me personally, I kind of went after like encyclopedia type stuff because I didn't like fantasy stuff that much. Like it bored me. But like reading
mm,
like encyclopedia or like bibliographies and stuff like that was more
yeah,
my speed. And that's what got me into like Napoleon, Genghis Khan, and like all those Hannibal and all. I was reading those guys in like third, fourth grade because of that
nice.
exceeded accelerated reading. And they put your picture outside and then like your points and shit. And then they would put you on like this little news broadcast if you had the highest. Oh man, it was crazy. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That was good times, man. Jesse, man, we're done. Shelly's done. Shelly, you there? Damn it,
Yeah,
Shelly.
what? Sorry.
Are you ready, Shelly?
Yeah.
So, man, I mean, straight up, when I asked you about like what makes you happiness, I could have like ended it like pretty much there with self mastery. So that's the NT core. Obviously, NTs have a core that comes out. Self mastery is the one that pushes out for them. So that, I mean, I could have slapped you for being an NT there, but you talked about the 3 puzzles in the morning with chess and like your chess system. So it was like your system you were running me through, like, oh, I do this every day, the 3 puzzles, and then I do the this and this and that, like very structured. So it's very systematic. Um, and then you went from meditation to work. Like somehow you drew like I asked you about meditation and you took me on a journey onto like how you get to meditation through work. So I hit you for initiating and progression there. You were talking about balancing yourself out. So I hit you for SI there. That was a little bit of your SI inferior coming out. Uh and you went with a lot of I think this, I think that, I don't think this, I don't think that. That was more TI. Then you went on this rant at one time where you just went pragmatic. I don't care if they bug me, whatever. I just go at to the fort, like very confrontational, pragmatic. But you also talked about like self-reliance was a value to you, right? So that's pragmatic. Your week is pretty structured. You talked about that. You talked about needing momentum. That's progression. Um, Building on the previous day, progression again. You talked about your in touchment with your physical state. That's SI. Um, Part of your mind never cuts off. That was interesting there. Um, I don't know what I would put for that, but and then you talked about with the hike and stuff, like feeling the spurs and the pain. I think that's the SI inferior coming out, man. Like in tune with that SI there. Pushing yourself through things, even though like there's discomfort in it. That's people would say that's SI aspiration. Okay. Um, Happiness is growing and improving, so progression again. You talked about the patterns developed through your relationship and the connections and all of that. Hit you for NE there, okay. But overall, you called it a good experience. So SI. So we got you as an ENTP, man. We think you're normalizing. So that's the reason why you're a little bit more strategic and more like more well put together. Um,
Yeah.
like way,
Yeah.
way more well put together versus like the creative type that can't really like hold down a job, kind of always stay in trouble. Um, I think they just say a lot of inaccurate stuff while you make sure pretty much a lot of stuff that you say is pretty much well verified. Um, we would wish that your subtype was the stereotype for ENTPs. I think ENTPs would like that.
Ah,
I think they would like that because a
tell
lot
me
of people
about it.
don't want to be ENTPs because of the creative subtype. I think a
Yeah.
lot of times, the creative subtypes out there just wreaking havoc and chaos and just like, you know, you can find something inconsistent in everything they say or every other statement, almost like they got TI trickster or some shit. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I feel like I'm very careful with information.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I generally don't like to say something like that sounds definite until I feel like I know it is,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
or there's something to like corroborate it.
Yeah, I've always noticed that about you. You're very thorough with what you say and what you know. Very thorough. Some of the stuff that you do know is kind of like, how does this guy know this shit? I mean, one time we were talking about science related shit, like, and like blood types. I think it was like blood types, and you were like talking about that, and I'm like, how the fuck does Jesse know this shit? Like, that's not even in his field of study.
Well, I will say with this, we didn't really talk about this. I feel like I have a good understanding of how to find information.
Mm-hmm.
So like, there's a topic and someone has a question or the conversation seems interesting. It's never been hard for me to like search up information, read about it, understand it, share the information. It's just, I mean, Probably the whatever you're talking about. I honestly probably don't even remember anymore. But
I mean, I just found it pretty interesting because I mean that's like something like I study on a daily basis. So I was like, damn, this guy knows about this. Like, what the fuck? I was like that's some like like me, I feel like I'm very specialized in what I do and or what I study is very specialized. Like I don't really go outside of that. But for me to see, you seem to have like a general, broader knowledge, overall knowledge. While
yeah,
mine's like very like
I,
specialized into like this, boom, and then
I
that.
would say that's pretty accurate. I mean, that's pretty much how my day plays out too. Like I don't have just like the one thing I do. It's a lot of different things, and it's more like of a broader like meta approach to developing myself and like skills and stuff like that.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think being a normalizing ENTP, I think it almost makes you almost look like an INTP. Like
Mm,
the characteristics you have or whatever. The only thing that you'll pick up is that your progression mindset. But like the
mm,
TI is almost close enough to be TI hero. Um, I think that's the same thing with I forget the Kyra. She's
mm.
normalizing as well, so she still believes she's like a INTP. I mean, yeah, INTP, and it's just like no way, man. But I mean, I think that's the one you want to be. It's like the normalized one. I mean, just overall makes better moves, better long-term moves. Gonna have a better life, less stressful. Um,
Yeah, I
not
can see that. I
not
think
creating so much controversy and like chaos and like. Because whatever you create for yourself, you got to live in, right?
yeah, I'd say it's hard. It's definitely easier, probably. I think it's easier just to integrate into a lot of environments and just like society at large if you're normalizing.
Mm-hmm.
I think you probably need some more luck or just a lot of I don't know what um luck and support maybe if you're a different subtype.
Yeah, yeah. I think like especially like let's say for the creative, it's like it's only a matter of time before you lose everything.
Mm,
Like like you look at Kanye West, it's like I don't even think he's aware that like the damage that he's like his kids got to live through whatever happens to him, whatever he goes through, whatever he starts, whatever his kids and their kids will live in that shadow. I don't think he's even aware of that. Um, for that and just like the creative like the drama like always or whatever it's like you have to live in that like uh, like I'm not trying to make my life any harder like
yeah, exactly. Like that's my approach too. Like I like minimalism. I like subtracting things from life. Like you have to assess like, is this worth my time? Is this worth my energy? So it's like I think there's like an art to being able to subtract things from your life that um more people should like be aware of, I guess.
yeah and I think just overall I think the chaos like you can't even enjoy yourself because it's like you're always like fighting like you're always fighting like it's like that's like non-going stress like dude you'll be dead by 70.
Yeah.
Like, nah, I'm not really trying to do that. Like, I'm trying to be strategic about what I do and strategic about how I plan things and go about things. And ultimately, at the end of the day, I would like to set the future straight for my generations and the next generation.
Mm,
Like ultimately, that's kind of like where I see myself. Um, it's not about me, it's about the next generation. Because I started out with nothing. So like I don't want them to start out with nothing. I
yeah.
want them to be in a position where, they're a step above, like, oh, they could, walk around proud. Like I wasn't born proud. It was like, damn, we're poor as fuck. Like, what the fuck? like what am I doing here? Like, why are we so me and my older brother look, he's an ENTP as well. Look around and like, we're fucking poor. We shouldn't be poor. We look at each other like we should be poor. We're too good to be poor. But that was the life we lived. But I don't want them to go through that. So
Yeah.
that's my overall mission there. What is your mission, Jesse?
My mission,
Yeah.
um, I like inspiring through example because I just I think I see the value in, and this is a point where I struggle, is
Mm-hmm.
generally because we talked about self-reliance, right? Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
really stubborn about that, and so I do a lot just on my own,
Mm-hmm.
right? While also kind of seeing the value and the reality of the fact that we're all working alongside each other, even if you're doing your own thing. And so I'd say my mission is, to keep pursuing my growth, to get better, stronger, just be better at the things that I love and enjoy, and through that, be able to elevate the people that are in my sphere of influence.
Mm-hmm. Just you ever think about writing?
Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I that's actually my um big thing. Like it's in the works. My literary takeover is gonna happen. It's gonna start next year.
Ah, that's crazy how I just knew it. I'm like, you
I
know, I just see people's skills. It's like I don't know what it is. I just like know what somebody's good at. I'm like, now you ever think about writing? Like in general?
Yeah,
Like,
I started up again this year. I had a whole thing where um I almost call it like what's it called when you don't feel like you can do the thing? Imposter syndrome.
yeah, I
'Cause that's
feel
what I
it.
studied.
Okay.
That's what I studied in school, and I was like, I got a lot of acknowledgement. Like I was good. Like I was a good writer, but I was so aware of all the writing that was out in the world and like the people that were really out there, and I just saw so much substance in their writing, like so much
Mhm.
meaning that I felt like even though I had a way with words, even though I, like would get praise with projects and whatever I did, it didn't feel like what I was saying was really going to be worth anything. Like I was just almost critical of my lack of life experience. Like I felt like I just didn't have anything to really say.
Mhm.
Um, but fast forward, and I've gotten over that for sure. And now I've committed myself to like writing consistently, pretty much every month in terms of like posting something because I have a blog.
Mhm.
Um, and so I'm writing a piece, posting it to my blog, um, and I'm doing one a month at least, and then just building from there. Like maybe taking it to where I'll like start a YouTube channel and like read my own work just to be able to put it out there in
What
different
about what about
forms.
what genre are you looking to go in?
So right now I'm focusing on poetry,
Poetry. Okay. Okay.
but ultimately I'm interested in fiction,
Fiction.
writing a book,
Hmm.
writing a
I thought you
novel.
looked like more of a self-help guy. I thought self-help would probably be down there, down the top.
See, I think it's the same issue. I consume a lot of that. Like I've been like really learning, like taking everybody's like in the books at least, like just hearing what people are doing, what's working for them, like incorporating that into myself and to the way I live. But
Hmm.
I think I have that same aspect there where I don't know if I'm at a point where I'm qualified to give advice like that.
Hmm.
And that's something that I've thought um, for farther down the line, like starting like maybe when I'm 40, maybe when I'm 50, maybe I'll see how I am then. And then if, it's like an accumulation of good decisions and kind of looking at the state of my life. Okay, am I now qualified to be able to give people advice on how to improve themselves?
So what
Because
I
right
will.
now, I just don't think I'm there. I mean, I think I have a good life, but I think there's probably still so much for me to learn.
Hmm. Yeah, what I will say is that I think from what I've seen for myself, I think ENTPs give the best advice. If they can actually be objective with giving you the advice, I've noticed their advice to be something um, very valued. Now, they may not follow their own advice that they give you. Like, that's what my brother says, do as I say, not as I do, or something. That's what he says to me. Uh, but I've noticed that advice tends to be very valued, man. I think you'd be surprised, man, because the networks that you pulled in yourself, if you sit down and you write something, I think it's it's gonna be a collection of everything you learned, man. So I think it's
Yeah, and
worth
I
it.
think for me, it's still that thing of building up more life experience, probably.
Hmm.
Kind of being able to assess the value in that and the things that, I've learned as I keep growing and like just continuing with my life.
I
I,
mean,
w-
you
I
do.
will say I do think I'm a pretty good person to go to like one-on-one.
Hmm.
Like if you want my input on something,
Hmm.
people seem to like the feedback I give, the way that I give the advice and the things I say. So I will say that kind of does align with what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, if you thought about it, if you wrote a book like you were writing a book to Jesse going to college, like something like that, like what you think like he would want to know, or things that Jesse would want to know to excel from 18 to 25 or 18 to
Yeah,
30. You can write a book on that. And you may not have the experiences for somebody who's 70 or whatnot, but you do have the experiences that you think that somebody who's 18 to 30 should do, or 18.
yeah,
So you got to kind of like break it down, man. Like you
yeah, for
do
sure.
have
I think
experiences.
I feel like thinking about it. I think the thing for me would be like I like the idea of waiting and having that as something for the future because once I've lived more of my life, once I've had more just insight into a lot of things, it's like the way I imagine it is it wouldn't just be a straight like self-help. It would be like maybe autobiographical,
Mm.
being able to give like a bigger picture of life and kind of the relevance of the different strategies, different ideas, concepts that you can implement in your life to
Yeah. We can't wait too long,
to
Jesse. You can't wait too long, man. You can't wait too long. You know.
now I the thing is I'm not interested in like that's my thing, like it has like when I get it out I want it to be like the best thing that I wanted it to be. Does that make
Mhm.
sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Like I'm not just gonna spit something out because I think it's gonna do well.
He said, I think it's just about because I think he's gonna do well.
I'm going to wait and like get to a point where it's like the most complete thing possible. That like if it's the one thing I'm ever gonna do, it's gonna be the best possible thing that like I could have done and maybe even anybody else could have done with that.
Damn, that's crazy. It's kind of like if you went to your creative brother, he would have spit some out to get the money. Just the creative version of the ENTP, they'll just spit some out to get the money. But you see, you're like more of like the background type, not background, but like a chart the course type, where you want to make it like perfect the first time almost. It's kind of like blending all into one. Um,
Yeah, like that's what I've said like forever. Like, and that's part of the reason why I think again going back to that like gap in my practice of writing, like if all I ever do, like is write one book, but it's the best book that I could have written. That's it. I'm 100% satisfied with that. Like it's me. It's like a part of me that I've like put out there.
mhm. Yeah, but like the other ENTPs would just throw shit out there. One, two, three, volume one, two, three, four, five, six, seven. It's
And
like,
that's kind of where I'm like trying to balance it out because like trying to do that on the my end for productivity where like I can't think too much about my own perspective on it, if that makes sense. Because it's
mhm,
biased. Like any work that you're gonna do yourself, you're gonna see it one way or another, right? So
mhm.
like it's like a matter of like turning that part of the brain off and just keeping the productivity aspect on so that you can churn the stuff out and then have stuff to work with.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, like when you look at a lot of things, it's like, okay, do I take my time and put out one product, or do I put out multiple products? Like, so what am I like? What is going to be what I'm going to do here?
Yeah,
Um, Unfortunately, like the people who do put out more, they build a name and a brand,
of course.
and then like people just keep buying their books or whatever the hell they put out. Whereas you do it one time, it could be hit or miss. You know, like it could be great information in it, but then it doesn't get the proper.
That's not even a thing. It'll be a hit.
He said I'm just saying, like, you know, like there could be like something like it could be the best book in the world, but maybe it doesn't get the right, you know, tracking behind it, or you know how it is. Unfortunately, there's a little system people play.
No, for sure. I mean, it's like you have to make yourself prominent, right? Like you have to churn stuff out into regardless of what kind of creator you are, right? Like unless you've already established a name, then maybe you can take your time, right? But
Yeah.
I get it. It makes sense, but
It's like the
I
48
just
Laws of Power. Like that book, like ringed in people's head because it's the 48 Laws of Power. You know, like some people are gonna want to grab that book, but if you like put out like a, I don't know, like a book without a creative name on it, but you're ENTP, so you know how to get emotional appeal out of people. So that shouldn't be too bad coming up with a title for it that gets emotional appeal. Um, but like you put out like a fucking shitty title, you're fucking dead. You're fucking dead. You're fucking dead, man.
is that I think you have to know again going back to the issue of like seeing the value in like relying on other people because with people you can, you know, like if you know the right people or you have the right people supporting you, I think I think that can almost be like a shortcut. Like
Yeah.
people kind of are shortcuts,
Hmm.
you know?
That's what I've really learned too. I learned
Yeah.
like the more you give to other people, the more you get back. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Like you know, that's a hard thing for I would say to any NT to realize. The more you really give to people, the more you actually get back, and that's been something like I've kind of hit that phase now, like in the last like year or two. It's like the more you actually give to other people, the more you get back, and you'll be surprised in the ways that they give, and like it may not be like tangible or whatnot, but it could be like knowledge or like things that save you 2 or 3 steps, or like things that like pretty much like for instance, I was talking to my buddy about car insurance or whatever. It's like, oh man, I'm paying this and this. He's like, bro, why are you paying this? You could go here and get it like $40 off, but then you do $40 times a year. That's a lot of money. So it's like little shit like that when you build a group like that rewards you back. And it's not even like the things that you think, you know, it just happens.
Yeah.
So, like especially now, like just giving back like in the group and stuff like that. It's like it's been rewarding. Like even though like a lot of sometimes it's kind of stressful, you know, it's kind of stressful dealing with people and like personalities and stuff like that. It's kind of draining, but like over the course of time, you do so much better. Like I don't think I would have read all the books that I've read if it wasn't like, oh, you know, people like, oh man, Mercer, what do you think about this? And it's like, oh shit, like I gotta read this book and be able to regurgitate this book almost, you know, or be able to mastery level. It would have been like something I would have kind of put off, maybe cherry pick the information or something. But it's like I read from front cover all the way through that motherfucker. So that's one thing. Or like you get challenging ideas. Like, you know, Jesse may show me something that I didn't see, and then that changes my point of view. And now like I can add what he's taught me to my repertoire of information, and I become a better person. And it's like that little small shit over time, unfortunately, builds you into like this great person at the end of the day. So it's like, you know, it's very interesting. But Jesse, you got any questions, man? You ENTP normalizing.
So what do you think if you've thought about it for Enneagram?
Ooh, Enneagram. I knew this was coming. I think
That's
you
honestly what that was my main
I think
uh concern.
I think you probably I think you're five sexual. What do you think?
So I'm not as knowledgeable on the I don't know if they're called subtypes,
Mm-hmm.
like the social, self-preservation, and sexual. I've thought five. Five was one that for as long as I've known about Enneagram, it was the one that resonated with me.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
you know that's not always a valid like metric because people resonate with a lot of descriptions. So it's like, how
Yeah,
do you really know? I've heard seven.
seven.
I've heard
If
seven.
if you're a seven, it'd probably be SP or SO, right?
I think I agree with five. And so what does that mean if it's a sexual five?
So like the sexual five is kind of the one that's kind of like a 5W4. Kind
Okay.
of goes into that. into that realm a little bit more. They like tend to like things one-on-one instead of like the social kind of likes the group, the sexual kind of likes one-on-one, and then the SP is kind of like self-preserving, so it's kind of like solo-ish.
Mm,
The SP 5 is kind of like the classic INTP, like the one that like
gotcha.
kind of goes
Okay.
off on its own. Then you have the social one that's kind of like wants to get like expertise in a certain knowledge. You'll see the ones that get like the PhDs or whatnot, that type of thing. And then you got the sexual one. It's kind of like the 4. I can't remember exactly how it is. I'd have to like read it to be like 100%. I don't want to tell you something that's fucking wrong. Um, but
But yeah, I think I can agree with that. 5W4, 5 wing
that's the one
4.
that's more like a 4-ish. Shit. I don't want to like, I don't want to just tell you some shit and like I can't fucking remember off the top of my head right now because there's like 27 these motherfuckers. In the sexual 5, I don't see that much. I think there's maybe been one other person that has been that. So my like knowledge of like 100% on that is not.
So you're saying I'm special.
You
I'm
say
rare.
it's still special. Okay, let's see. Sexual 5 here. Okay, so it says in the sexual 5, average is expressed through an ongoing search for a connection that satisfies their need for an experience of the most perfect, safest, and most satisfying ideal union. This 5 may look like the other 2 5 subtypes on the outside, having all the regular 5 inhibitions and introversion in the area of relationship, but the sexual 5 places a special value on one-on-one or intimate connections. This 5 has a passion for finding a special person they can connect with deeply, sometimes a person they cannot find or have yet to find. Like the social 5, this 5 also searches for a high ideal, but this 5 looks for the ideal in the realm of love. That's what you were talking about earlier, I think. This 5 feels a need to find a high exemplar of absolute love, like the search of extraordinary or the social 5. The ideal kind of connection this 5 searches for represents a very high standard. Sexual 5 seeks something like ultimate mystical union, an experience of the divine in human relationship, and this can also help with the search for good friends or spiritual teachers. While the social and self-preserving 5s are more removed for their emotions, the sexual 5 is intense, romantic, and more emotionally sensitive. This 5 suffers more. This 5 suffers more, resembles the 4 more, and has more overt desires. This is the counter type among the 5s. It may not be completely obvious from the outside. However, they may seem very much like other 5s until you touch their romantic spot and inspire their romantic feelings. Yeah. You said these are examples of the sexual 5 artists like Chopin, who Narendra knows is the most romantic of the classical composers. I don't know his name. I've never heard of him. I don't know that composer. Um, it says you guys live with ideations, theories, and utopian fantasies about finding unconditional love. Mm,
Hmm.
that's interesting. He calls you guys the confidence, which has a special meaning related to an ability to trust the other and suggest a search for the person who will be with you no matter what, partner, friend, with all your secrets. Sounds like a fucking. I don't know if that sounds like you, Jesse. There. I
Yeah,
don't think you got into
I,
your romantic side though.
it's something definitely to look into a little more. Look into the subtypes.
Yeah, I don't know if you were. I mean, I think you're more romantic than you putting on, but
Oh, for sure. I mean, where you follow me on Instagram, you see all the poems I share.
yeah, I know. It's like, oh shit, kinda. Well, check it out and let me know what you think, Jesse. I used the complete Enneagram by Beatrice Chestnut, but she does have YouTube videos and she does have
Okay.
like a panel of like people. And I think that's the best way to find like your Enneagram, really, because they have like 4 or 5 people come on there and then they each talk, and then one will be a sexual, one will be a social, and one will be a SP, and they kind of like give away their perspectives, and then Beatrice Chestnut like chimes in her thoughts and here and there.
Yeah.
That helped me like get it all together. But I got so much shit in my head right now that I feel like every time I read something else, like I'm losing shit. Like I don't know what it is. It's like that's why I'm like, let me read that again because I feel like I'm losing like information. I don't
Yeah.
know what it is. It's like the more I read, the more I lose. Like if I read Dario Nardi, then I start forgetting Enneagram shit, and then I start reading neural personality of person neural the brain regions of the brain, and I start forgetting other shit. And it's like, damn. So I gotta constantly keep reading shit to
Yeah.
stay like, up with it. It kind of sucks. But
Yeah.
it's been a pleasure, Jesse, man.
Likewise. It's good
Hope
to
to see you in
finally
the
get
group,
on.
man.
Yeah, for sure. You have to change. Sometimes you have to. I'm gonna say this. You should change some of the times that you do calls or do whatever because I'm always working. I can never join these things.
Oh, when are you off?
I think it's the time difference, right? Because you're Eastern time,
Yeah.
so it's like a 3 hour difference. But I'm off. Ideally, I'm off at like your 7:30.
So 7:30.
So like I'm off at 3:30 Pacific Standard Time.
So 7:30?
So like you guys will be on sometimes. You'll do the
Mhm.
like the monthly call at like
4.
4. Yeah, and it's like 1 o'clock for me. Like whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you off on the weekends or?
It depends. So I get Sundays off, but then I get like a rotating day every week.
Mhm.
So
Oh.
that's worked out because I'm off this weekend,
Mhm.
and then in 2 weeks I'll be off Monday.
Oh,
So
so,
that's I can't always make it, right?
so they have like a weird schedule for the because Sunday always off, right? So that's a
Sunday's always off,
guarantee.
and you
So
get
that's a
something like that.
guarantee.
Every sequence, like every subsequent day, is off every following week.
Oh, those son of a bitches. I hate that schedule.
Really?
Yeah, my
I
schedule's
love.
always off. I'm always off Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Like I literally went to work and I'm like, yo, I need to work these days and have these off because it just allows me to like function better. Like I
I get.
know, like I have a routine, like I have it in my head. I can visualize like what's gonna happen. Like I can visualize what kind of mode I could be in. Like if you keep changing me around, like it
Yeah.
annoys me because I can't really like use my prediction. I don't know what the.
So I mean, what's good is that it is structured. So like, yeah, I can look at the calendar and know ahead of time because it's color coded.
Mhm.
But it does like I like Wednesdays. Like if I could pick a day
Mhm.
other than Sunday, would be like Wednesday because it's like right in the middle. I can work really hard 2 days, rest Wednesday, and then like work really hard the rest of the week. But
Oh.
like this coming week's gonna be rough. So like I go back to work Monday and it's gonna be a straight run from Monday through Saturday.
It's like Monday through Sunday. Ooh, Monday through So I
Yeah,
already know what I'm getting into every time. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So like I can plan, I can like I had like if I had doctor appointments or some shit or dentist appointment, I know what days to get it on. I can look at my schedule and know that I'm working fucking New Year's this year, I'm fucked. I'm
yeah.
working fucking Christmas, I'm fucked. You know, like I can look at the schedule like now and I know I'm fucked. Like I'm working both of those days. I'm like, this sucks dick. I usually work most of the holidays because they fall on a Monday. So I'm end up working all of those, but it just gives me peace of mind, man. Like
Yeah,
I don't like to be like if I can predict and see it in my head before I get there, then like I feel like I'm more at like peace. But if I'm
for
like
sure.
got like improvising shit, kind of like ooh,
Yeah,
it kind of makes me nervous. But yeah, I will switch it up. We'll all get a time for everybody, man. And
yeah,
we'll do this. All right, Jesse, man, it's been a pleasure, man. And
yeah.
we got what another ENTP, back normalizing ENTP. Kyra, she hasn't accepted it. Tough, man. All right, Jess, take it easy,
All right.
brother.
Yeah. See ya.